Welcome to my YouTube channel Medical Biochemistry by Dr. Suman Jain. I welcome you and thank you very much for subscribing. I have now 94 subscribers. Thank you very much. So today we start with a topic that is biochemistry of cancer. In this we will deal with what is cancer and what are the changes occurring in the cancer, and also see oncogenes and tumor markers. Now, characteristics of a cancer. What is a cancer? So cancer is a cellular growth. Cancer is a cellular growth development leading to excessive proliferation and spread of cells. So you can say it is a cellular mass formed due to uncontrolled proliferation of cells, and that is also known as tumor. And the tumor can be the term this cancer comes from a Latin word that is cancrum, which means crab. So as it resembles the swollen veins resembles like a crab limb, that's why it is known as cancer. The tumors are of two types, that is benign tumors and malignant tumors. These benign tumors which grow slowly and remain localized with a well-defined boundary but do not invade the surrounding tissue, and this does not affect badly. The other tumors are malignant tumors which grow rapidly, spread and invade the surrounding tissue as well as distal organs, that is metastasis. This is known as cancer. So these malignant tumors are known as cancers. Now we see what are the morphological changes occurring when the cancers occur. Usually rounded shape, larger than normal cells. Even we can say that during this morphological changes, the cell loses its shape. It loses its original shape, like muscle cells are spindle shape, hepatocytes are hexagonal, but on turning to malignant, they lose this characteristic shape and they become round and oval in shape. Then cells show nuclear and cellular pleomorphism. Pleomorphism, that is change of shape, या morphology is changed. Hyperchromatism, that is the color becomes dark. Altered nuclear cytoplasmic ratio. So nuclear cytoplasmic ratio is changed as mitosis occurs large in number. So abundant mitosis occurring at a fast rate of mitosis increases, and it also loses, you can see, the transformed cell often grow more and forms multi-layers. They grow on one upon another, and they can grow without attachment of surface, that is known as they lose contact inhibition. The normal cells cease to grow on coming in contact with one another. Hence, these normal cells form monolayers, but in cancer they lose the property of contact inhibition and therefore they continue to grow into multiple layers. Then they can grow without attachment to the surface, that is they lose anchor support. Normal cells in culture, they remain on the surface of the culture dish to get anchor, but cancerous cells do not need such support and they continues to grow without any attachment to the surface. And nutritional requirement is less. Cancerous cells require much less supply of nutrients and growth factors. Many a times tumors produce growth factors themselves. Then they become immortal. The cancer cells are immortal. They have limited life. Each normal cells have limited life, but the cancer cells are multiplying indefinitely forever, and therefore they do not die, thus becomes immortal. Now we come to the biochemical changes. Biochemical changes, that is increased synthesis of DNA and RNA, DNA-RNA rate of synthesis is increased, shows increased rate of glycolysis, that is aerobic and anaerobic. Why it occurs? Especially anaerobic glycolysis is increased. The increased rate of anaerobic glycolysis is due to because due to there is less number of mitochondria and isoenzyme hexokinase 2 that is not feedback inhibitor by the product. This could explain the increased glycolysis. Therefore, the glycolysis increases. The cancer cells are known to have a different pyruvate kinase isoenzyme called pyruvate kinase 2. But normal pyruvate kinase 1 and pyruvate kinase 2 are produced alternate splicing of the same gene. It produces less ATP than pyruvate kinase 1. This then we can say there is a changes in they show changes in the permeability and surface charge. They change in composition, like glycoprotein and glycosphingolipids on the surface are changed. Then increased activity of ribonucleotide reductase, decreased catabolism of pyrimidines, secretion of certain proteases and protein kinases are increased secretion. Alternating in isoenzyme pattern is seen, that fetal pattern and also synthesis of fetal proteins. Loss of certain antigen expression are lost, some old ones and appear of new antigens. Often fetal proteins are expressed, such as alpha fetoprotein or carcinoembryonic antigens. Such antigens and such fetal proteins are produced. Now another biochemical changes we see, that is mitochondria in cancerous cells show several changes. The mitochondrial changes, what are that? The number becomes less. The number is less than the normal cell. They produce reactive oxygen species which can damage DNA. Normal role in apoptosis may be altered due to its damage. Then mitochondria express hexokinase 2 activity. So it increases the activity of hexokinase 2. And also isocitrate dehydrogenase enzyme, which is present in mitochondria, shows mutation. These are found in gliomas, that is in brain tumor. Now we come to the next topic, that is oncogenes. What are oncogenes? Then, by the name you can understand the genes which produce onco is what? Tumor or cancer. So those genes which are capable of causing cancer, or genes whose products are associated with neoplastic transformations, are known as oncogene. These oncogenes are also proto-oncogenes. What are proto-oncogenes? So before converting into oncogenic genes, the condition is known as proto-oncogenes. These proto-oncogenes are normal cellular genes that affect growth and differentiation. They can be converted into oncogenes before they can be carcinogenic by transduction into retroviruses or converting them into cellular oncogenes. DNA sequence. The genes which are capable of causing cancer, or genes whose products are associated with neoplastic transformations, are known as oncogenic or oncogenes. These proto-oncogenes are normal cellular genes. They affect this, and these oncogenes, they encode how they are producing transduction in retroviruses or converting them into cellular oncogenes. These oncogenes, they code for protein kinases. Some proteins are produced that are known as oncoproteins, like we have seen protein kinases, है ना. These proteins are then altered versions. They form normal counterparts and involve transformation and multiplication of cells, and then multiplication of cells start. So these genes code for certain proteins. That protein increase the oncoprotein synthesis. That oncoprotein synthesis alter the normal metabolic activities, and they involve transformation and multiplication of cells. These oncogenes produce growth factors by which cell growth is stimulated. They also produce some growth factor receptors, which are associated with carcinogenesis. They also produce signal transduction proteins that are known as GTP binding proteins. This also increase the synthesis of oncogenes. Now we come to the classification of oncogenes. The homeostasis in normal tissue is a balance of cellular proliferation and cell death. If there is imbalance between these two things, that is cellular proliferation and cell death, if they are not equivalent or not equal, then increase in proliferation takes place, which leads to the cancer if cell death is reduced. 4 types of genes are involved in the development of cancer. These are of 4 types. Group 1, which are oncogenes inducing proliferation. Number 2 are oncogenes inhibiting proliferation, or known as tumor suppression genes. Number 3 are oncogenes that are regulating cell death. And number 4 are genes involved in DNA repair. We can see here that group 1 genes, group 1 genes which induce proliferation. These genes are ERB gene, ERB gene, which causes product like EGF receptors, and you can see VSRC gene, that is sarcoma causing virus gene. Then we can also see VRAS, that is Rous carcinoma virus. These are all type 1 which are present in group 1 protein. Then in group 2 you can see there are tumor suppression genes like P53 gene, RB gene, that is retinoblastoma gene. Then neurofibromatosis gene, that is NF gene. Adenopolyposis of colon gene, that is APC1. These are all coming under group 2. Then group 3 genes are BCL2 gene, which is belong to B cell lymphoma cells, and then group 4, that is that genes are involved in DNA repair. They are, you can say, which causes cancer metastasis, or VEGF and EFGF genes. Okay. Now we come to oncogenic viruses. The oncogenic genes are because of the oncogene causing cancer causing viruses are known as oncogenic viruses. These viruses, what they do, they enter the host and they change their DNA, you can say, or genetic material, and produces its own proteins. So they may be either DNA or RNA virus. Many of these DNA virus causes tumors in animals. 3 DNA viruses are established which are causing human cancers. They are EBV, Epstein-Barr virus, HBV, that is human papilloma, HBV is hepatitis B virus, and HPV is human papilloma virus. So EBV is known as Epstein-Barr virus, which is associated with Burkitt's lymphoma, nasopharyngeal carcinoma. All these are under this. Then HPV these are known as human papilloma virus, which is associated with multiple warts, that is benign squamous papillomas and cervical cancers. Then HBV is hepatitis B virus, which is associated with liver cancer. Then RNA virus, they are also known as retrovirus. They are that is acute transforming retrovirus and slow transforming retroviruses. Human T cell leukemia contains a genome TET is found associated with leukemia. Genome of retrovirus contains 4 genes. They are GAG, PL-POL, ENV-ENV and SRC-SRC. Now how the action takes place, mechanism of action of oncogenes. So oncogenes are, cancer is a genetic disease, we know. It changes genome of somatic cell to become cancerous due to some genetic factors. It can be acquired environmental factors like radiations, chemicals, these virus or some other oncogenes. 5 mechanisms are known to produce proto-oncogene activation. The first is promoter insertions. The mechanism responsible are, first one is promoter insertions. What is that promoter insertion? What is that promoter insertions? When a retrovirus infect a host, a copy of genomic RNA is transcribed by reverse transcription and first into single-stranded DNA and then into double-stranded DNA. This incorporation into host DNA, it is because of, this is all called provirus, and then it is double-stranded DNA, and in this way it promotes insertion and act as a oncogene. Then next is enhancer insertion. It is seen in many times when the retrovirus genome, like genome of avian leukemia virus, it is inserted downstream of c-MYC gene, and still the activation of MYC gene transcription occurs, and in such situation LTR is long terminal repeat of provirus act as an enhancer. That's why it is known as enhancer insertion. Then it is chromosomal translocation. When a chromosomal abnormality is seen, and example you can say here Burkitt's lymphoma, yes, a portion of chromosome is split off and joined to another chromosome, and this exchange of material between both the chromosomes, therefore it is known as chromosomal translocation. Then point mutation, the examples of chromosomal translocation we have seen, Burkitt's lymphoma and chronic myeloid lymphoma. Then comes is point mutation. In point mutation, it is what, when there is mutation, VRS gene product P21 shows point mutation as several position, and CRS proto-oncogene protein. This has been documented to have a cancers of urinary bladder. Now, the tumor cells can gain growth autonomy by loss of growth inhibitor, cancer suppression genes. So these are type 2 genes, or what you can say group 2 genes, which are tumor suppressor genes. Activation of growth promoting antigens. Activated oncogenes may promote growth. Activated oncogene, it promotes growth by various mechanisms, like it encodes first the membrane protein and changes the signal, and in this way it controls the growth. Then it can code growth factors, then it may cause growth factor receptors occurs, and now anti-oncogenes or oncosuppressor genes. These are genes which normally protect the individual from getting the cancer. When these genes are deleted or mutated, cancer results. So when these genes are absent, then cancer results. So these are that genes which are present in all normal cells, but if sometimes the absence or deletion of these genes occur, then the cell will be cancerous. So some oncosuppression genes are, we know that RB gene, this is retinoblastoma, WT, that is Wilms tumor, FAP, that is familial adenomatous polyposis, BRCA, it is familial breast cancer, and also P53 genes, which is responsible for apoptosis. And you all know this oncogenes are always written in small letter, whereas oncosuppression genes are written in capital letters. P53 is a protein with 53 molecules. So this P53 gene produces a protein that is known as P53 protein, and it is also, it is the guardian of genome. P53 gene is a guardian of genome. It produces a protein with 53 molecular weight, that's why it is known as P53. It forms tumor suppression protein which prevents formation of cancer, and it initiates apoptosis. It induces apoptosis so that replication of a damaged DNA is prevented. Therefore, because it prevents that damage, that's why it is known as guardian angel of the genome. A P53 accumulation occurs in cells exposed to DNA damaging agents such as radiation. This accumulation prevents the cell cycle progression. So it prevents the cell cycle and delay in that cell cycle, which delays the cyclic dependent kinase enzymes, and in this way inhibition takes place. This RB, that is retinoblastoma, which inhibits cell cycle, and P53 inhibits, you can say, apoptosis. Now we come to the next topic, that is tumor markers. So what are tumor markers? They are indicators that produced by tumor cells which can be detected by blood. When the blood is able to detect the indicator, these are known as tumor markers. They are useful for follow-up of cancer and to monitor the effectiveness of therapy, and also detect the recurrence of the tumor. Then they suggest the diagnosis. They also, tumor markers help in the suggestion of diagnosis. They also help in the prognosis. That is, they help to indicate tumor load, that it is last stage or initial stage, or it can also help us to know whether the disease is curable or it is at the end stage. Some clinically important tumor markers, what we will study are alpha fetoprotein, beta chain of chorionic and gonadotropin, carbohydrate antigen, prostate specific antigen, estrogen receptor, etc. Then clinically important tumor markers, now we go through one by one. The first is alpha fetoprotein. It is a glycoprotein synthesized by yolk sac in early fetal life. This alpha fetoprotein levels are increased in patients with hepatocellular carcinoma, germ cell tumors, teratocarcinoma of ovary, and in pregnancy with fetal malformations of neural tube. In adult male and non-pregnant females, the levels are less than 15 nanogram per liter. As the level is higher than 33 nanogram per liter, it is associated with cancer, but that is non-malignant liver disease. but when it increases above 1000 nanogram per liter, it is associated with cancer and except only pregnant females. Then we come to beta chain chorionic gonadotropy or beta HCG. It is synthesized by normal Syncytia trophoblast, that is the cells of placental villi. It is a glycoprotein. It has two subunits, alpha and beta. Alpha is identical to follicle stimulating hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormones, but beta is specific for HCG. It increases in choriocarcinoma and germ cell tumors. Then carcinoembryonic antigen CEA. This is also a complex glycoprotein produced by embryonic tissue of liver, gut and pancreas. It is detected in serum in colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, stomach cancer, lung cancer, breast cancer. It is useful indicator to detect the burden of tumor mass beside monitoring the treatment. Then carbohydrate antigen 125, it is also a glycoprotein, and you can see it is the biggest molecule till now identified. It is tumor marker for ovarian cancer, and 75% of persons with ovarian cancer will found elevated serum levels. 50% of persons will with stage 1 disease and 90% with stage 2 disease. Increased levels are also found in 20% of persons with pancreatic and digestive tract cancer. Prostate specific antigen, it is produced by secretory epithelium of prostate gland. It is normally secreted into seminal fluid. It is elevated in 60 to 70% patients with cancer of the prostate. Normal blood levels of PSA is less than 4 nanogram per liter, and borderline it is between 4 to 10 nanogram, but if it is more than that, then it causes malignant prostate disease. Then estrogen receptor, it is a protein that is found in breast and uterine tissue. So here it is determined when a person with breast cancer is likely to respond to therapy of tamoxifen, which binds to the receptor blocking the action of estrogen. Women negative have a greater risk of recurrence than women who are estrogen receptor positive. Then HER2 and NEW, that is also known as ERB2 or EGFR2. It is a protein that stimulates breast cancer cells to grow. HER2 levels is usually found in testing a sample of cancer tissue itself. It is not a blood. Cancer tissue itself we have to take, not in a blood. It is positive in breast cancer. Then progesterone receptor, this is the tissue that does not express the PR receptors, is likely to bind estrogen analog used to treat the tumor. The person who tests negative for estrogen receptor and progesterone receptor have less than 5% chance of responding to endocrine therapy. Those who test positive for both markers have greater than a 60% chance of tumor shrinkage and when treated with hormone therapy. So thank you very much.